The following program is the work of broadcast students from the British Columbia Institute of Technology. BCIT Magazine features news stories from around the Lower Mainland which were produced over the past week. Responsibility for the content of the show rests completely with the students and their instructors.
Today on BCIT Magazine, protesters swarm the Premier's office.
The future of the Garden City lands are in question.
And the Vancouver Whitecaps have the playoffs in sight. Hello and welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Francesca Fionda.
And I'm Neil Carre. All this week, protests broke out across the province. One group took their message all the way to the Premier's Vancouver office. Groups worry the project will affect BC's future generations. Camille McDonald found out what brought one Vancouverite to the rally 40 years after her first protest.
It's been a long time since Diana Chu's last protest. She rallied against the war in her native Vietnam and today feels the need to speak up again.
And a big reason is I'm going to be the first-time grandmother to keep British Columbia, beautiful British Columbia, for my grandchild and my grandchildren in the future.
Diana isn't the only one to feel compelled to protest once again.
I see now that people are afraid. People are afraid to stand up. People are afraid to get out of their little bubble of security. And what they don't realize is that we all have to band together to make this a better place.
People from all walks of life are here in front of Christy Clark's constituency office, and they all have the same message: say no to the proposed pipeline projects. Students, families, and all types are marching in protest of the province's two pipeline projects proposed by Enbridge and Kinder Morgan. The pipelines would carry bitumen from the Alberta oil sands to the BC coast, where it would be shipped to Asia by tanker. These protesters believe the pipelines will irreparably damage BC's environment. Professor George Hoberg feels compelled to take action after learning about the magnitude of the pipeline's effects.
Well, first and foremost, it's because I have kids and I'm really concerned about their future, but also I study climate policy from a political science perspective, and I've been examining the science, I've been examining the policy and politics, and I realize that we really do face an emergency. If we don't change course right away, we're in serious trouble.
These protesters want Premier Clark to know where her constituents stand on the pipeline issue. And they want others to open their eyes to the damage the pipeline could cause.
We live in the most beautiful place on earth. And people seem to be like they don't care.
But these people certainly do. Camille McDonald in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine.
Camille McDonald joins us live from just outside our studios. Camille, I can't imagine there was only one protest. How many others were there?
Well, Neil, there were actually 67 protests across BC, all targeting MLA offices. But the largest by far was in Victoria on Monday, where about 4,000 people stormed the legislature. And the environmental review hearings for the Northern Gateway Pipeline project are going to be starting up on October 29th once again. So it seems like British Columbians are really wanting to be heard in that review process.
When could the pipelines get the green light?
Well, if the Northern Gateway is approved by the Environmental Review Board, it could be up and running as soon as 2018. But with all of these protests, it may not be that easy. Now, Premier Clark is speaking up. She says BC should be getting a larger share of the pipeline's profits in order to make those environmental risks worthwhile. But Alberta's Premier, Alison Redford, has shot down that idea. Well, with First Nations groups also strongly opposed to the pipelines, they really could be held up for years. Back to you.
Thanks, Camille. And another environmental assessment is underway in Richmond. Community groups will be lining up outside City Hall to stake their claim on the much sought-after Garden City lands. The process will take a year and a half, and Richmond City Council will begin talks this fall. As Thorsten Gerlach found out, some groups are not seeing eye to eye.
This is Richmond's Garden City lands, a 136-acre site that is said to have environmental and ecological benefits for the city. But Richmond Sports Council President Jim Lamond and City Councillor Bill McNulty believe the land can benefit the community in another way, through sport.
The government keeps telling us, you keep fit, you've got to get out and exercise. And we want to make sure that the facilities for the people to exercise. We don't want the whole of the Garden City lands, we only want a portion.
There are opportunities for everybody to share in the pie here. And I think one of the things one of our goals at one time, because I'm a founding member of Sports Council as well, was to alleviate the pressure on neighborhood parks and neighborhood facilities, because people don't want balls and bats to be banged out all night, hours of the night. Maybe we can move some of them here.
The Garden City lands are protected under the Agricultural Land Reserve, which states the lands can only be used for agriculture or recreation. Garden City Lands Coalition President Jim Wright says that under the ALR, the Richmond Sports Council's proposal just won't fly.
Jim Lamond is suggesting uses that have never been accepted in the ALR and could not possibly be accepted in the ALR. They have no chance whatsoever of happening.
Wright believes the land should stay just the way it is.
We have legacies. I mean, we just have this incredible opportunity through an accident of history, first of all, and through the efforts of citizens to keep the lands in the ALR. We have this incredible opportunity of this huge green space in the city centre.
The Musqueam Nation sold its rights to the Garden City lands in 2010, but is now challenging the legality of the sale through the courts. However, the City of Richmond announced last month it's starting a detailed planning process for the lands, which is expected to cost around $300,000. Thorsten Gerlach in Richmond for BCIT Magazine.
One local sports team is making good use of their turf. The Vancouver Whitecaps are set to become the first Canadian team to qualify for the MLS playoffs, but a rocky finish to the regular season is raising questions about how far they can go. Jonathan Seacrest has the story from the Whitecaps practice.
The first Canadian team to make the MLS playoffs went back to work on the pitch today. They entered the playoffs the hard way, going winless in 5 of their 6 final matches. Despite the slide, defender Jordan Harvey is adamant that the team isn't backing into the postseason.
Seattle did help us out to get in the playoffs, but it's a culmination of the whole season. It just doesn't come down to like the last game. I know a point or two, and we could have been in a battle this last game. But yeah, you want to go into the last season with a little momentum, and we're going to come out in Salt Lake. They're a good team, and we want to finish on a win, and we want to finish on a high note for sure.
For head coach Martin Rennie, the key to success is forgetting about the past and focusing on the future.
With soccer, you have to just get on with the next game. What you did before, whether you achieved good things or whether you didn't, it doesn't really matter too much. It's what you do next. There's not a lot you can do about the past. It's about what you do next.
And for players like Captain Jada Merritt, it doesn't matter how they got in. The playoffs are a big step for a young franchise.
Well, for us, it's a huge step in the right direction. I think if you would ask anyone in their honest opinion, I think we could have done it in a better style. There's been a few occasions where we really could have not made it this difficult on ourselves, but that's all part of the learning process. If you look to how far we've come from last year and where we are now, I think we'd all be pretty happy with where we're at.
The Whitecaps do play one more regular season game this Saturday against Real Salt Lake. Now the players are trying their very hardest not to look past that match. But considering that the playoffs and a chance at the championship are what so many players dream of their entire careers, you couldn't blame them if they were a little bit excited. Jonathan Seacrest in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine.
Coming up next on BCIT Magazine, Burnaby Central opens after a $55 million upgrade.
And Apple launches their newest gadget.
This is me. And my mom and dad. And my big brother Alex. And Jack. This is the day I learned that sandals got their name from sand. That jellyfish aren't made of jelly. That stars don't just come from the sky. That the ocean is bigger than all of us. This is the day we all got to forget I was sick. This was my wish.
Welcome back. We go to breaking news now in Vancouver, where shocking allegations are being made against BC Housing. According to a secret audit of company credit cards, workers spent taxpayer dollars on things like alcohol and gifts. The audit was obtained through a Freedom of Information request by the province newspaper. The report also reveals many rules were being broken.
We need new leadership in BC. That's what it comes down to.
It's wrong. Pure wrong. It's immoral, right? You're stealing.
It's crazy. This is insane.
The organization is tasked with providing housing for BC's most vulnerable people. BC Housing says card policies have been updated since the audit, and staff who misuse their cards have been dealt with.
Okay, great, thanks.
A new science lab, state-of-the-art kitchen, and a competition-sized gymnasium are some of the new features at the Burnaby Central Secondary. The new school was designed with a strong emphasis on trades, training, and the arts. The school officially celebrates its new look this week after a $55 million upgrade. Our reporter Jennifer Ferguson had a chance to tour the new school.
A Squamish First Nations song kicked off celebrations for the official opening of the new Burnaby Central Secondary. Premier Christy Clark was there to officially open the new school.
There will be 1 million job openings in British Columbia. And the education that will be provided at this school, with the new spaces that are created for all of the trades training, for chefs training, opportunities that are created for people to weave our communities together through the arts, like some of the award-winning choir members we've heard today. Those opportunities are going to be available for BC students.
The additions to the new school put an emphasis on the arts and trades training. Highlights include a large theater with permanent seating, a 3-bay automotive shop, and a large wood shop. When asked, students jumped at the chance to say what they love most about their new school.
It's so good to have actually like a real theater now, because in our old school it was just kind of like a classroom, and even though you felt so comfortable, it gives you the chance to like be in a real space, have the opportunity to feel like you're actually acting instead of just being in a classroom experience.
Well, the Student Commons is really cool because everyone kind of comes together in one space. So when we hold events that incorporate the whole school, it brings everyone together and it gives us a sense of community.
We're environmentally friendly now. We have hand dryers, we have lights that adjust to natural light from outside, and we also have water bottle refilling stations, which is just amazing for our students to recycle.
Christy Clark marked the end of the official opening with the unveiling of an ice sculpture created by a group of talented students. Jennifer Ferguson in Burnaby for BCIT Magazine.
And students hoping to transition their ideas from the classroom to the boardroom might try creating their own business. This month, Small Business BC is focusing on training and educating future entrepreneurs. And joining us today is Mary Charlson, who's hosting a seminar on that topic. Thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. So you have a great idea. How do you know if it's actually a great idea?
Well, I guess the first thing you want to look at is, do you have a unique selling proposition? You know, do you do something differently than your competitors that's not easily copied, that your target market cares about? And do you know your market segment? Have you taken a look at your competitors, what's happening in terms of trends? And bottom line, can you make any money at it?
Right, and it must be scary going out for the first time. Any advice for overcoming that fear?
Well, plan. Plan ahead. You've got to have a business plan, a marketing plan. I can't stress enough knowing your target market and are there enough people that are going to buy your stuff? And, ultimately, watch your cash flow. Cash flow will kill you.
Right. And so students heading out for the first time, what's the single best piece of advice that you could give a student?
Well, if you think you've got a good idea, go for it. You don't want to wake up 20 years from now going, oh, what if, right? Plan ahead, really, really do your market research, know what you're getting into, and then just absolutely go for it. Choose a good industry, do something you love, because you're going to be devoting a heck of a lot of time at it.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, if people want to go and find out more information, where's the best place they can go?
Well, of course, a Small Business BC seminar, or you can also look at my marketing blog, 5minutemarketing.com, which is FIVE, minutemarketing.com.
Great. And of course, the seminar that you'll be hosting in November.
Absolutely. We do it regular monthly seminars through Small Business BC, and they're a great resource. It's a free thing for all this anyone who's launching a business down there.
Great. Thank you so much, Mary. I appreciate it.
Terrific. Thanks.
And Apple unveiled a smaller version of its successful iPad. As my co-anchor Neil Carre found out, Apple's Mini hopes to give the competition a run for its money.
So if you want to look at what a 7.9 inch, you actually come in 2.1 inches to get the size of the Mini. So the Mini will be roughly about that size.
It's smaller and lighter than the regular iPad and can fit in one hand. Those are features that Apple is hoping will entice consumers looking for a new tech gadget.
It's just 7.2 millimeters thin. That's about a quarter thinner than the 4th generation iPad. To put it in context, it's as thin as a pencil.
Tech expert AJ Vickery says there will be a huge demand from students.
In fact, it's actually going to be used a lot for books. So the market that we think that Apple's really going after here is probably the educational market.
The iPad Mini will compete with Google's Nexus and Amazon's Kindle Fire tablet.
It's a premium price. You can get the Kindle at around $200. So seeing the iPad at $329, it's a lot more money to invest. But Apple has always been a premium type product.
The jury's still out on the new iPad Mini.
I want to use it for reading, like instead of a Kobo reader, and I think that's what the iPad Mini is trying to compete with as well. But I think I'm just going to go for the regular one. Just it's nicer to have something larger.
It gets to a point where all the choices become no choice at all.
No, I'm just not interested. I've got the little BlackBerry playbook, and that works for me.
I don't need one. It would just kind of be laying on my floor uselessly. I mean, if someone wants to give it to me, I'll sell it. So, I mean, that's cool.
The Mini will be available in Canada November 2nd. Neil Carre in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine.
Coming up next on BCIT Magazine, Coats for Kids campaign is in full gear ahead of winter.
And one group focuses on combining play with traditional yoga moves.
They say if you want a wish to come true, never tell anyone. But there is one wish that can make the difference between life and death. And this wish can only come true if you tell someone. Please, let your family know you want to be an organ donor.
Hello, I'm Connor Danoon, and welcome to this week's Community Calendar. Right here in East Vancouver, the Commercial Drive community comes together to host the Parade of Lost Souls. The Haunted Walk happens Saturday, September 27th from 5:30 to 9:30 p.m. Organizers will take you and your friends through alleyways, hidden corners, and nooks and crannies unseen by many. The event is all ages, and organizers ask you make a $5 donation at the start to help keep the tradition alive or dead for next year. And for the music lovers out there, Canadian indie bands get ready to rock the night at Rogers Arena November 10th. That's when Metric hits the stage as part of their month-long Canadian tour. They'll be bringing with them a stunning live show along with their new record, Synthetica. Also, special guests, Stars, will be opening for them. Tickets are available online at Ticketmaster.com. I'm Connor Danoon, and that's your BCIT Community Calendar.
Welcome back. Vancouver has 6 post-secondary institutions and some of the highest housing prices in North America. Now, students are reacting to a recent report on affordable housing in the Lower Mainland. Many students are finding it difficult to balance housing costs and tuition. Some are saying it's time for the city to make affordable living easier for those in school.
It is a little bit, it's a little bit frightening that students don't have as many of the opportunities to find affordable housing. There are enough options. The question is how affordable they are.
BCIT says it offers some of the most affordable student housing. Those who live off campus often have to decide if a long commute is worth the cost. And each year, hundreds of Burnaby children have to face the cold without a proper coat. Burnaby's annual Coats for Kids campaign tries to help by providing warmth and smiles to children in need. Alyssa Bauer reports.
The Rotary Club of Burnaby Metrotown is using this truck to pick up and deliver hundreds of coats to Burnaby children in need. And campaign organizer Darlene Broadhead expects this year will be the most successful yet.
It started with 40 coats the first year, and last year we gave 1,700 coats to children in Burnaby. It's amazing. They're so pleased. They have big smiles on their faces, and every year there's at least one incident that sort of makes you do it another year.
Now in its 9th year, Coats for Kids was originally launched by the South Burnaby Neighborhood House in 2004.
Honestly, I can't give enough credit to the Burnaby Metrotown Rotary Club because they have taken this project and they've actually made it their own.
Now the coats, yes.
This is a really good opportunity for us to show people that we care, that something as small as a coat makes a big difference in people's lives.
Broadhead always makes sure the coats are just as diverse as the wide array of children receiving them.
Low income, single family, many refugees and immigrants that some of them don't realize that they need winter coats.
If you're looking to donate your new or gently used coat, you can drop it off at a number of Burnaby locations, including Staples, the UPS store, the South Burnaby Neighborhood House, or any branch of the Burnaby Public Library. Over 500 coats have been given out so far, with 1,500 more expected by the end of the month. Alyssa Bauer in Burnaby for BCIT Magazine.
With winter just around the corner, many kids are looking for indoor fun. Playing allows children of all ages to test boundaries and use their imaginations. A new national campaign is encouraging parents to bring back the fun in children's physical activities, all the while stimulating their minds and sparking their social skills. Nicole Lobo has this story.
Participaction is teaming up with Healthy Families of BC to start a national campaign, Bring Back Play. It encourages families and children to bring physical activity back into their lives. Jennifer Medak is taking her own approach to participation by teaching yoga to kids in this Kitsilano neighborhood. She believes yoga is the perfect combination of fun and physical activity.
Kids are really drawn to this idea of being able to be silly and creative and move around at the same time. So it's kind of the perfect balance. It celebrates, you know, the two best sides of kids, like being active, busy little beings with being able to use their imagination and be free and find freedom within playfulness and creativity.
Active Living Ambassador Catherine Cameron says there are lifelong benefits to being physically active as a child.
Physically active kids are also at a reduced risk for many diseases and various health conditions. Things like, you know, diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, obesity, certain mental health conditions. And we know that physically active children are, generally happier, they sleep better, and also they tend to perform better academically as well. So there are just so many reasons to get our kids moving.
Jennifer agrees and is pleased that the government is now encouraging children.
I think that having many different outlets for children to express themselves physically is really important, and so I think that the government to support a program like this is really exciting, to give kids another way to be physical and moving and creative with their bodies.
And Bring Back Play intends to do exactly that. Nicole Lobo in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine.
For some people, Halloween is more about the tricks than the treats. Our reporter Virginia McConkey visited the store known as Canada's scariest Halloween store to find out how some people are spooking their neighbors.
Halloween is the one time of year when people pull out all the stops to scare the daylights out of one another. And Thomas FX is a store that specializes in providing the props and costumes needed to do just that.
This is our wall of tortured souls. This is the only time of year where neighbors and friends come together, where strangers can knock on your door and you're not afraid to open the door to strangers.
Working among Gore 365 days a year has turned these employees into experts on why people actually enjoy being terrified.
Kind of gets our endorphins flowing, I think, and just, get your blood pumping, and at the end of having all those extra endorphins from being scared, it creates happiness. So scariness equates happiness. Halloween's one of my passions, so I don't know, the gore of it, and I do love all of the special effects makeup and how you can just transform yourself, or in my case I've got 3 little girls, so I can transform them into different creatures or, really cool witches and things like that.
So, for those of us who like to be scared or scare other people, Halloween's the perfect time of the year to get all decked up and do just that. Virginia McConkey in North Vancouver for BCIT Magazine.
If you have any questions or comments regarding this program, please visit us online at bcit-broadcast.com or bcitbroadcastnews.ca. I'm Neil Carre.
And I'm Francesca Fionda. Thanks for watching. That's BCIT Magazine. We leave you now with some images of protests happening around the province.